Hi everyone, so this is the Love from Lizi March 2017 10 cards 1 kit with Lizi video. So I'm going to jump straight in as always, and I cut all of my cardstock in half widthways so that to make 10 card bases. So this is a tip that I've been wanting to share with you. The white peel-offs that I sell in my shop, you can colour with your Copic markers or Spectrum Noirs or whichever alcohol markers you have. So if you want a specific shade to match in with your colouring, say, the Copics are great over the white peel-offs that I do. So anyway, that aside, I've just coloured in using a Copic R11, I believe. I have got it all listed for you over on the blog post though. And I'm, as always, just measuring the piece of paper. With the 8x8, I don't like using my trimmer so much because then you lose the usage of the rest of the paper. So I do tend to use scissors and a T-square ruler, or just like a by-eye sort of drawing. And I've just picked two of the coordinating patterns here. And I'm using my large tonic Nouveau glue pen just to cover the whole base with. And then I'm just laying on top the patterned papers. Now, I always do my patterned papers slightly larger than the area that I'm going to cover, just to make sure that I can trim away the excess rather than trying to marry the lines up perfectly. So now I've got my base covered. I've got my coloured peel off here in with the Copic colour on it, and I'm snipping the edges off, and a couple of the little inner circle pieces didn't come out very freely when I peeled it up, so I'm just using my craft knife just to encourage them to pop out. And now I've picked a sentiment from part of the kit, and I mean, this is my EK Success powder tool, and I'm just tipping a little bit of the powder onto the back of the sticker just to neutralise it, because if I mount this up on foam, which is my plan, and then I send it through the post, if it gets slightly squashed, then the sticker may stick to the card. So this way, that's not going to happen. I've just made it like a topper, basically, a non-sticky topper. And now I'm fussing around trying to decide where I want to have it, and I'd opt for over the line. And then I just grab one of the small butterfly stickers that comes on the sticker sheet and just lay that flat onto the card. So this is incredibly simple, but just relying on how pretty the papers are, basically. So that was card 1. This is card 2. So again, I'm folding my card base and using the bone folder just to get a nice good crisp line. And this is another one of the pattern papers, and my intention is to cover the whole card fronts in this paper. Again, using my scissors. I don't know why I switched to a different pair there. I'm not entirely sure. This video I did over 2 evenings, and yeah, so you'll see a wardrobe change part way through. But anyway, here I'm die cutting the dies that came from the kit, just randomly across the front of the panel, but making sure there's a nice border at the edge. And the acetate that I sell in my shop has a protective film. So I peeled that off, I popped some glue all over the backing paper and then laid the acetate on top. Now, I'm not sure who it was that I saw doing this. It was Christina Warner or Jennifer Maguire or Vicky Papian. I'm not sure who it was exactly, but folding the foam tape in half before, rather than trying to layer 2 on top of each other, it makes your life so much easier. So anyway, I'm working my way around the edge of the card here. Now, I left this bit in because rather than trying to make really skinny strips, where that butterfly was quite close to the edge, I just cut a little notch out. And here I'm just dumping some more of the powder into the acetate just to make sure it's not sticky. I've picked out all of the flower buttons from the selection that come in the kit, and I've laid those on the front of my card, and now I'm just lining up with the bottom, because if the bottom's not straight, your card's not going to stand up. So that's crucial. And now here, these are the butterflies that I die cut. I just turned them over so that I had the white side up, and I used my finger with a little bit of the water just to smudge some of the Nouveau paste from the kit onto the front of them. This is one of the techniques that I have on how to use the Nouveau paste. The bottom butterfly I glued completely flush with my Nouveau pen, and the top butterfly I only put glue down the centre part so that the wings could lift. And the reason I glued the bottom one flat was because I wanted to have the thinking of you sentiment sticker on top. So now it's a button shaker, so a little bit different to what I usually do. A bit bulkier and a bit heavier, so maybe one to hand deliver. But anyway, here's card 3, making my card base. And I've picked this sort of, it's like a polka dot stripe. I really do like this paper. This is one of my favourites from the kit. And again, I'm just loosely cutting the whole front side cover. And I apologise for how sped up this is. This is 3 times normal speed, but otherwise this video will be so incredibly long. But anyway, I've picked up one of the wooden frames from the kit, and I'm just using my pencil to draw a line around the inside of the frame in the centre of the card. Now, I could have measured that, and it probably would have made my life easier, because I did the same for the card front, and now it was quite a good match, to be honest, but it's a risk when you're cutting on the front of your card, so perhaps measure it beforehand. But anyway, now I'm gluing, having used the craft knife to cut the holes, to attach the patterned paper onto the front of the card. And this is going to be a top fold card, so I had to make sure that the bottom line was the one that I squared with. And now to stick the wood down, I'm using multi-medium in the matte finish. I'm not sure that it's actually necessary, but with anything that isn't paper to paper, I do like to use the multi-medium just to make sure that it does have a good hold. I don't want it to fall apart on someone. And I'm using the peel-offs here, and I use my grid mat to make sure that the line is straight on either side of the aperture that we've just made for the wooden veneer to sit around. And to be fair, if I, with hindsight, I could have actually added 2 or 3 of those peel-off rows. That would have actually looked really pretty. And then I've stuck the wood veneer on top of the peel-offs. So then what I do is with my craft knife, I go around the inside just to make sure that there aren't any bits of card hanging out, and just tidy it up a bit. And then I'm trimming the edge of the card with my scissors. And I choose one of the sentiment stickers which fits inside the frame. And I use my craft knife so that I haven't got my big fat fingers in the way. Line it up with the centre. So now you've got the "With Love" on the inside of the card. And that's that card finished. So here's card 4. This might be my favourite. I'm not sure, but it's up there. I die cut a series of circles, 3 circles from the silver, and then 2 from the patterned paper, and then I die cut 2 butterflies from the silver. And then one of the stickers, I've just, again, neutralised it with the powder tool so that it's no longer sticky. And I've cut a piece of foam tape, and I'm just going to mount that up on the smallest circle. These dies are the Mama Elephant So Fancy. Again, the product list is all at the end, so anything that I'm using you'll be able to find over on my blog. And now I'm using my glue pen just to tape it down, and word of warning, people, don't do what I do and get glue on your fingers and then put glue on all of the mirror. It will come off with warm water, but it's not the point. So I'm offsetting the 2 pieces of patterned cut circles that I've put there. And then I'm also offsetting the sentiment in that circle. So this is ever such a simple card, but I think it's really effective, and I'm quite pleased with how it's come out. So because I'm only taping just a small part, I did put the multi-medium just because I know it's got a really good strong hold just down the centres of the butterflies so that they can be floating, if you like. And I hold those for a minute just to make sure they've got a good firm stick. I turn it over and trim off the little pieces that were hanging over, and then with the Nuvo drops from the kit, I just put a few random dots here and there in a spray from the bottom left corner to the top right. And that is that card finished. And here's card 5. So here I am cutting a strip of one of my favourite pattern papers, as we've already discovered, and then I'm using my trimmer just to cut incredibly thin strips of the silver cardstock, using my wide Nuvo pen just to give a real good coverage on the back. And then using the grid mat, I'm making sure that I line that up to be in the centre at the top and the bottom, and then give it a nice good firm press down to make sure that it's got a good connection. with stripes, it does make a difference as to whether or not you get them straight, because it will show a million miles away if it's not straight. So it is worth taking the time over. And here I'm using my Nuvo very fine liner glue, just to draw a line of glue on the card rather than on the silver, because you'll go off the edges, you'll get glue on your mat and go everywhere. This is just much simpler, and then you can just tuck the silver in, push it up so that it's butted up against the pattern paper, and you'll have a lovely finish. So this is an alternative to using peel-offs if you don't have any of the ones that I carry. So, and now I'm using a doily. I was going to use the little one. I thought this will take forever, so I've used the big one, and I've popped that, I would say, maybe 2/3 of the way up, not quite perhaps. And then I'm using one of the big sentiment stickers again. I just want to use it as a topper. I want a little bit of dimension to the card, because the doily's got only the stick in the middle and the edges are a bit floaty. I think it's nice to be able to have a bit more texture and extra edge, if you like. And so there's a little bit of the foam tape that I'm so close to being finished with. I'm so pleased. I really dislike it. And now I'm die cutting another butterfly from the silver. This seems to be a little bit of a theme with these kits, with the cards from this kit, sorry. The silver butterflies are so pretty. But I am a bit of a magpie when it comes to shine and glitter, as you well know if you watch my videos regularly. And now, using the multi-medium in the matte finish, I just pop the butterfly off, slightly tucked under the doily. But yeah, and that's that card finished. So here we are to card 6. Which again, this cardstock is lovely. I've changed the cardstock over. This is a really good heavy cardstock now, so you're going to be able to put whatever you want on the front, and it's not going to bow it or make it topple. And okay, so here's the other die set that I use in this kit. It's a Sizzix Tim Holtz stitched rectangle, I believe it's called. Again, link will all be at the end. But I do try to use as few extra products as possible in my videos, but without wanting to make the same cards every month, coming up with new designs is difficult without using a few added extras. So I hope you guys don't mind. So I run that die along the edge of 3 different pattern papers, and this is my masculine card. I set a challenge in my unboxing to do a card that you could give to a guy, and this is the card that I came up with. So I'm using the like the script stamp from the set, and I'm just randomly stamping around with the Versamark just to cover off a rectangle of the cardstock. And I did add some cardstock, I must admit. I put my hands up here. I added another half sheet into my kit so that I could do this this card in particular, but also one of the ones coming up. Okay, so then I've heat embossed it with liquid platinum, and then I used the stitch die, the rectangle stitch die around it, and now I'm gluing down these patterns. Now these are sort of, they're like slices of cheese, they're not straight. I wanted them to be a little bit wonky, if that makes sense, a bit wider at one end and narrow at the other, just again just for a little bit of interest really, so that it's not all plain sailing. And this is another Tim Holtz product. This is Phrases 2, I believe. And I heat embossed it again with the Ranger liquid platinum heat embossing powder, which I love. It's one of my favourites. It's not quite gold, not quite silver. It really is lovely. And then I trimmed that out, and then used the next size down from the die set and cut that out. It did actually fit quite perfectly, which was a bit of a fluke. Love it when things like that happen. Popped that through the die cutting machine. And then I have a sentiment for a guy. So I glued the backing stamped piece flushed onto the card front. And then I foam mounted the sentiment up. And I ummed and ahed again about placement, straight, and I ended up going with jaunty, which is really not usually my style, so I'm proud of myself for being a little bit brave here. And then I just dotted around a few of the Nouveau drops, again in sort of a spray, this time from top left to bottom right. And that is the card that I think I could get away with giving to a guy. I don't know whether or not you agree, but that's my man card. Okay, card 7. Now this is quite a long card because I wanted to do some mixed media. Now I am really new to mixed media. I am a straight line and clean finishes kind of person, so mixed media is very scary and very intimidating. So please be kind, please be gentle with me, because I am very new. Anyway, texture paste over the doily stencil of a card front, which would cover off completely the front of my card. So this was added in, this piece of card here. This is the stamp, and I'm using the ink pad that came in the kit, and I'm twisting the stamp. I'm only pushing one side down or the other. I'm essentially just trying to make a random pattern, and as I said before, me and random, we don't go together, so it's quite challenging. So this is the antique linen spray from Tim Holtz. Tim Holtz gets used a lot in this video. And then that's vintage photo, and then I dry it a little bit. I wanted to move the splodges around a little bit, get a bit of texture. And here, this is sort of the mixed media patterned paper that comes in the kit, which is what inspired me to try to do a mixed media card. And I've just torn some. Now, if you tear using the piece you don't want, you'll get a beautiful white edge on the piece you do want. I don't know if that makes sense. But I used the big piece to pull, and then my little piece that I wanted to put on the card got the white frayed edge. So here I'm sponging on some extra of the brown from the kit, just around the edges and over the white paper, just to take away the starkness. And here, this is the bit that really I kind of wish I hadn't done. I sprayed with walnut stain, which is very dark right across the front, but you know, you live and learn. I activated the Nouveau mousse, and I'm using my finger, and I don't like getting my fingers dirty, which is probably why I've avoided doing mixed media for so long. But I am quite simply smudging this all over, and it really does help to brighten the card up a bit. And it sticks like in between the texture paste, and I am really pleased with how the Nouveau mousse went. I am a big fan of it. I've got every colour, and I should use it more often, and I will try to. So now that's got sort of like a pearlised sheen to it. I do go back around the edges, because having ink blending on the edges, I think, just ties the whole picture in together. That's a Tim Holtz trip, and I definitely agree. I think it's brilliant, and my gosh, would I love to be able to make cards like he does, effortless. But there we go. Hopefully over time I'll learn. And here I'm using the butterfly stamps, and I'm stamping over the torn pieces, the torn edges of the large piece. I use both butterflies, although I do stamp more butterflies than I want to use in the end. And then all I do is I tear them. Rather than using scissors and fussy cutting them and making them all nice and tidy, I just tear them. And so yeah, here I'm using the big piece of paper to tear, and then it will leave the white edge on the piece that I want to put up on the card. And yeah, so I fuss around with them a little bit, tear little corners out, and then I foam mount them up onto the card front there. I did ink blend a little bit on there. I don't know why that didn't film. Sorry, guys. And now I'm using a paintbrush, because whilst I want it to be a bit tidier, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I want a really good concentration of colour in the butterfly wings so that they shine in the sunlight. And now I've put double-sided tape all over the back, very generously, on the card front, so that it does hold it, because it is slightly warped. And that's the end of that card. So I hope you like it, because it's not something I was confident doing. I was so tempted not to put it in the video and just do another card, but I thought, no, you know what, you've got to share. So here's card 8. Covering a card front with a whole piece of patterned paper, which I love being able to do. When you have 8x8, you can be really generous. Again, as always, I've cut it slightly larger so that I can turn it over and trim it off to get nice clean lines on the edges of my card. And now this paper, this is by far my favourite, but I think it's probably because it's got blue in it. Anything blue, and I'm always a happy bunny. But I've die cut using one of the rectangles, and then I also die cut the corner off of one of the doilies so that I could lay it on top and it will still have that lovely stitched finish of the die underneath. It just helps create a nice line, I think. If you're going to use a die properly. And then I take the green polka dot glitter butterfly, lay it straight. And here I was umming and ahhing about trying to wrap them round or how I was going to do it. But then I thought I'll do this little bow, which is also how the cancer ribbons, I'm not sure if that's prevalent in the States and in Canada, but over here, the little loop of ribbon is representing cancer. So I twisted the beads together so they would stick, and I used multi-medium to actually stick the pearls down. And here I am using foam tape just all over the back. And I'm really generous, as I say, I'm trying to get rid of this stuff. It's rubbish. And if I could remember where it was from, I'd tell you not to get it, but I can't, sadly. I bought it quite a while ago, but I know that I'll just buy branded now, I think. Okay, so foam mounted that up, popped it on the middle, and I did actually put another blob of the multi-medium just underneath the little knot, if you like, the little twist. And then I put 3 blobs of the Nuvo drops on, and the Nuvo drops dry so beautiful. I waited until all the cards had dried to photograph them, so you'll actually get to see what they look like. But here's card 9. Again, covering the whole card front, and you can do at least 2 from each sheet, which is fantastic. I love 8x8 papers. But anyway, so this is like the lace one, and I wanted to use the ribbon. So what I'm doing here is I'm laying down some double-sided tape in the middle at the bottom of my card front. And then using the grid lines, I lay the ribbon into that, face down in the centre. And now I cover the whole of the card front with tape. You could do this with glue, but I had the tape out, so I thought I may as well continue. You can also use scissors if you don't like such messy ends, but no one's going to see it, and I was being lazy. I was tired. It was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning by this time. Since Carson's been unwell, I've had a real hard time trying to get time together because he's not able to go into daycare at all, obviously, so I am doing everything when he's in bed. So, yeah, I've peeled back the tape halfway, and I'm lining up at the bottom, as I've said before. And now I'm turning it over, and I am cutting the extra paper, because I always cut large, as you know, and I cut off all the tops of those tabs, so that everything is now flush. There's method to my madness. Please bear with me. Okay, so now I fold the ribbon up, and then I cut it away. The thing is, with paper, it's difficult to do this without stretching the paper or having too much to go. So now I pull up all the rest of those release papers, fold the ribbon over the top, and then I can smush it down, and it's all done in one piece. Rather than trying to attach the ribbon to the paper that's a little bit flimsy and it doesn't want to hold as well. It's fine if it's card, but anyway, so I've cut a piece of mirror card to go behind this frame. Multi-medium in the matte finish on it. And here's a little tip. Try not to do what I'm doing here and smushing the mirror around, because it puts glue on the mirror card that you can see on the other side. It's only very slight. Doesn't spoil it by any stretch, but just, if you don't have to, then don't do it. And I put glue all over the back, and then I decided I wanted to lift the frame. So what I did is I put tape on both sides of the frame so that the mirror, behind the mirror in the middle, where the ribbon is, the ribbon will still be free to move. So it's got sort of like a little channel, if you like, to sit in rather than squishing it down flat with the glue. And then I used a sentiment that was the same sort of size that says life is beautiful. And I was tempted to try and get a stamp and cover up life and put you is beautiful, but it's not really ideal. But yeah, so it's like a little mirror that people can look at themselves in, thinking life is beautiful, and it is. So here's card 10. And this one, I wanted to use, this was a really good card for scraps. So I wanted to show you a technique to use up all your scraps. It's not a brand new technique, don't get me wrong, but I used the largest of the stitch dies, and here I'm cutting that. Oh, there's my head. Sorry about that, guys. The Life is Beautiful pattern paper. Again, I love that. So I cut the corner with the rectangle die so that it matched, and then I used the border one that I'd used earlier in the masculine card, and I lined the edge as well there. Turned it over and popped some glue on it, and I literally just glue it flush into the corner so that it looks like almost like it's part of it. So I die cut using the tiny little butterfly, using, I say scraps, there was still so much paper left over, they were hardly scraps, and then I glued them only in the centres onto the panel, and I use the Nuvo drops to make little bodies in the middle. And then I make little dots for the antennae, and some are longer, some are shorter. I didn't try to make them perfect. If you try to make them perfect, I think you're going to stress yourself out and you'll be there for a long time. And then I use my Nuvo silver pen just to dash some lines between the body and the dots like antennae. And that's my card. Okay, so here is what's left over from the kit. You've obviously got quite a few stash builders in this kit. And there's still plenty of pieces, like the frames, there's still doilies, there's still consumables, there's all the peel-offs, still plenty of butterflies. Didn't use any of the twine, I only used a tiny piece of the pearls and some of the ribbons, at least half the stickers. And I didn't use a whole sheet of any of the paper, and there are still 2 complete pieces. So these are the extras that I used, and there's quite a few in this kit this time round, but I believe that's because I did the mixed media, which often I don't. I don't venture into that realm. And I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think I should try and add a mixed media card into every kit video that I do? Do you like it or not really? I mean, I'm learning, so please be kind. And yeah, so here's all the additional products and tools. I do try to keep it to a minimum, but here are the still shots. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm still not sure. But this kit sold out. It actually sold out within 3 days. It sold out, which is like a record for us here. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you very much. Carson had a little bit of a wobble, but he's doing much better again now. Thank you for everybody that's been ever so kind. I can't recommend enough the Love from Lizi Facebook group. I'm actually going to link this at the top below because we've got 150 members now, which is lovely, and I'm going to do a giveaway now because we've hit a nice round number. But everybody shares so much inspiration in there, and there's some really talented people, so it's a good idea to have a little look. Also, we're doing a Love from Lizi March blog hop. So again, details will be listed below, but this kit is going to be the giveaway, or you can take a £20 gift voucher. Anyway, thanks very much, and bye.